Hi, I'm Rich Torrey. Welcome to another Level Up Cartooning. All you ever need to follow along with me is a pencil and paper. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? Now, before we get started, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button as it helps this channel to grow, and hit the bell so you never miss a lesson. So for those who have been with me in the last month, you know that we've been focusing on drawing a number of well-known cartoon characters using simple shapes, circles and ovals. Today we're going to be using simple circles and ovals to draw two of the stars of this summer's Smurfs movie, aptly titled The Smurfs Movie. Now, you have to be from Mars to not know who the Smurfs are, but here's a little history. They were created in 1958 by Belgian cartoonist Pierre Culliford under the pen name Peyo, first appearing in a comic strip called Johan and Peewit. In 1981, Hanna-Barbera debuted the Smurfs television series, introducing the lovable blue creatures to a larger audience, and the rest, as they say, is history. Anyway, today we're going to draw two of the stars of the new movie, Smurfette, voiced by Rihanna, and Clumsy Smurf, voiced by Jack McBrayer. And here's a little secret. If you can draw these two Smurfs, you can draw any of the other Smurfs, because their basic body shapes are that oval for the head and a circle of some size to help shape out the body. Okay? So now that you know that, let's draw. We're going to draw Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf step by step, giving you the secret formula to be able to draw them again and again. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I normally use the character's head to figure out how big the entire character is. In this standing pose, both Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf are 3 heads tall. In other words, however tall their oval heads are, their entire bodies are about 3 of those tall, not counting their Smurf hats, which are another head height tall. Okay, so what do you say we get started with our roadmap for Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf from the new Smurfs movie? So there's our roadmap for our two Smurfs. Now before we go on to step 2, I want to give you the layout of Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf using simple shapes for those of you who want a screen grab. Just something to help you to lay out your Smurfs drawing. Okay? So now we're on to step 2. In this step, we do what I call roughing out the features. I want to remind you that until the third and final step, you want to draw as light as possible. You'll see that I use guidelines to help you to position Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf's bodies and features. We don't want those guidelines in the final drawing, so you want to draw them light enough to be able to erase them easily. Okay, so let's rough out the features for Clumsy Smurf and the lovely Smurfette. Okay, so there are the roughed out features of our two Smurfs. So now with the roadmap done and the features roughed out, it's time for that final step. In step 3, we get to have fun. We get to draw in the final details of Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf. We don't have to guess where to put things because we've already done all the hard work to figure that out. Now would be the time to take a moment and look at your drawing while it's still lightly sketched out and fix or change things before you commit the drawing to those final lines. But even after you begin those final lines, you should still be thinking about how you might improve your Smurfs drawing all the way until the very end. Okay? So let's draw in the details for Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf. And that's how you do it. There you have it from the new Smurfs movie, the one and only Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf. So how do you think you did? Understand, if you've never drawn any Smurf before, then you cannot expect to have drawn Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf perfectly. You notice I don't spend time coloring our two Smurfs during this video because I want my lesson to focus solely on the drawing process. Now you have the secret formula, the process for drawing Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf. And with that, again and again. By all means, color them when you're done. I promise each time you draw them, it's going to be a little better and a little easier. I also promise the more you work with me, the better you're going to get at all of your cartoon characters. So I'd love to see your drawing of Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf. If you can, take a picture and post it on either Facebook or Instagram. And don't forget to include the hashtag #LevelUpCartooning. I hope you had as much fun as I did with this one. Remember to subscribe and thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep drawing, my friends.